when I'm walking down the street.
I do want to say to Doni and many of you in this room that over a very long career in this city, all of you have helped me and my colleagues tell the truth and to try to tell.
I may not look like you and you me, but
my head up.
I'm from South Carolina, so I just...
What does this event mean to you, Miss Peggy Mars?
Oh, my heart.
Happy 20th anniversary.
My heart is about loving up on my sisters. Do you know what it feels like to have your sisters in the room? John.
And dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. I am beautiful, I am blessed, but not just what you see in the flesh. I'm free from people, free from myself. There's a
the doctor lived next door to the janitor, to the reverend, and the lawyer. We were together. Now we get so high and mighty that you create stress for your society because you don't like poor black folks either. That's a health problem. Get yourself together so I can stop being taking care of geriatric people and get back to pediatrics. I thank you, Doni, for all you've done. Let's keep doing it all the more.
letting His glory shine through. Dare to be you, dare to be me, dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. And I dare you, I dare you, I dare you to be you.
All right. First name's Doni, last name's Glover. In it to win it for the long haul, baby. All right, top of the morning to you. Congratulations to the Baltimore Orioles. Let me tell you, what a game. Finally made it to the American League East. My name's Doni Glover, as stated. Oh, my goodness. Shimmy crickets. Oh, there we go. All right. So make sure you pick up a copy of Unapologetically Black. Mr. Charles Robinson, senior journalist here in the state of Maryland, says, I do not promote these books often enough. There you go, both available on Amazon. This was the 2015 book, and this was the 2021 book. We do the Black Wall Street Awards, of course. Our next one is October the 11th. We celebrate Black entrepreneurs and professionals, as well as the people who support them regardless of race. To date, we've honored over 2,500 individuals in 9 U.S. cities, including New York, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Richmond, Atlanta, New Orleans, Montgomery, Alabama, Las Vegas, and Tulsa. Our aim is to inspire entrepreneurship beginning in the Black community and also to help preserve little-known Black Wall Street history. Every community, wherever there were Black people, there was some type of Black Wall Street. Also, we have a Black Wall Street event coming up on October the 11th. That's a Wednesday at Collins Seafood. Our honoree will be one of the founding fathers of WEAA Radio, Mr. Kwesi Mfume. Sandy Mallory will be in the house, as well as a couple of other giants who have entertained us, informed us, educated us over the years, over some 46 years at WEAA. Unbeknownst to me, we will also have some Coppin State alumni honorees. That was just confirmed last night. So without further ado, we're going to get to today's guest. This lady is all about technology and all about ensuring that all of us are accessing technology and making sure it's working in a great way. Lakisha Greenwade, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning. I'm outstanding. Thank you for having me.
Might you happen to be an Orioles fan?
Absolutely. Was there celebrating with you and amazing people on that historic night?
Good answer. Okay. So tell us about your company, Lakisha.
Yes, I am the founder and CEO of Wearable Tech Ventures. And Wearable Tech Ventures is a global ecosystem which connects government, investors, founders as well, to develop and promote wearable technology. Now, I know I said some words that people may not be familiar with, like ecosystem and wearable technology. And ultimately, what that means is I'm not just building one company, but I am the mother of multiple companies that are bringing products to the world. So when you look at me, you see a Black woman that's going to ensure that at least 100 tech companies are birthed that produce products that we could use every single day.
So tell us about yourself before we get to Wearable Tech Ventures. Tell us a little about yourself. How'd you get started? Where are you from? How'd you get into technology?
Okay, I'm originally from Akron, Ohio, and believe it or not, I did not have my first computer until I was working full time. But I was identified as gifted and talented, had been on a college campus since I was in the 6th grade, received a full academic scholarship to The Ohio State University. And upon coming to the workforce,
I always like the way that gets said. Say it again for me.
The Ohio State University. And I actually moved to Baltimore when I was working as a regional account manager for a chemical company. And that's when I was introduced to amazing trailblazers such as yourself and other young professionals through the Urban League Young Professionals. And I also came to learn about Reginald F. Lewis. It took that long for me to learn about him and all of his contributions to business when I moved here. So I am not a tech entrepreneur that came through education. My background was in marketing and economics. However, my entire career was in the STEM field, where I've always worked with engineers and scientists to help bring their products and their ideas to life so that the mainstream public could understand it. And one thing I always say is that nothing on my journey has been wasted, because having that background and also having had a passion for entrepreneurship, when I was in college, I actually founded an organization called ABLE, Association for Black Leaders for Entrepreneurship. And this was like 20 years before what we see now is everybody saying buy Black. I was on that before. And as a result, I won an award from the university president for my vision and bringing entrepreneurs and students together to say, hey, let's ideate some things. So all of those things helped to bring me to where we are today. And of course, being amongst amazing people, I always say that being here in Baltimore, I've had many offers to move to C-suite level, and I rejected them because I saw there was such beauty and power and just amazing people here in Baltimore. And as a result of the Freddie Gray murder, I realized that I had to do something to make sure that our children and that our people could be seen as geniuses. And so I took it amongst myself to say, hey, I'm going to rebrand Baltimore so that people know what's really going on and so that they really know the talent that is here. And I was so ambitious, I didn't think about how big that was when I was saying it at that time. But I knew that Baltimore had a unique history with fashion. And I love all the fashion designers and all the innovations that comes out of this area. And I had also invested in some of the designers before then. And I said, what if we put fashion and tech together? And it was a God-given idea. This was before tech became mainstream. This was before tech ecosystems and support systems were in cities. I was a lone girl out here saying, what if we put fashion and tech together? And so at that time, I worked with some professors from MICA, talked to some local entrepreneurs that were in manufacturing and said, hey, I want to explore this concept to see if there's something that we should really pursue. And what made me put my foot on the gas was when I was in New York City and I met Ty Hunter. Ty Hunter is Beyonce's original fashion director and original stylist. And I said, hey, this is what I want to do. Will you help me? And he said yes. And so he was my keynote. And so I self-funded that initiative where I brought him in as my keynote, brought in some folks from Forbes, brought in one of the first Black tech startups to raise $1 million in the US, brought in fashion designers from New York City. And I held a multi-day event in 3 locations to say, hey, what is this? And even added a component for youth. It was called Glam Tech at the time. And we had a Glam Tech Kids component, and we focused on children in West Baltimore. We worked at the St. Francis Community Center. And we introduced this concept of wearable tech and say, hey, where can we go from here? And the folks that were there said, hey, Lakisha, we've never seen anything like this. We don't even know how to put words to it, but all we know is that you got to keep going because there's something here special. And as a result of starting that here in Baltimore, I now have tech founders that I work with in 4 continents. I have advisors that have worked with me from major companies such as Qualcomm, Under Armour, and Boeing. And it was because of the Boeing company that I was able to keep going because I ran out of money. But that's where we are today. And we have just finished our 2nd annual hackathon, where we have been in partnership with the University of Maryland, Baltimore County for 5 years with the youth program. And we are also in our 2nd year of a program with the National Institutes of Health, identifying non-traditional pathways for our founders to get funding so that they can go and be a success.
Wow, that's a lot to digest. Wow. Slow me down. This coffee is not kicked in yet.
I know I tend to be so passionate. So
no, passion is great. You're getting some hellos. Rob Morton is on the scene. Robin Akinwale. We have not seen her in a minute.
Robin's my girl, early supporter. We went to Hopkins together for graduate school. And when I did a event in Baltimore, she actually at the time we were promoting HIV/AIDS awareness in the city. Robin was right there with me to make sure that we could keep our city safe. So I told you I'm passionate about this city. I love all the things that are here. And that's my sister.
So we worked out at Radio 1 probably for, well, I was there 21 years, and I know she was there too, so I won't date her. So let me say this. Do you find that there are enough Black women in technology, in the whole tech world?
I find that it's growing. I find that the women that are there are powerful. They are building media powerhouses to highlight that talent. I work with a number of Black women in various segments of technology. And those of us that are there are committed to making sure that we are not the last ones that are there, because we know that there is so much genius, so much talent, and so much insight from the vantage point of being a Black woman that needs to be applied to technology. Because oftentimes when tech is developed, our insights and our viewpoints have not historically been included.
Do you find that there are enough Black men in technology?
There are, same thing as with Black women. The representation is definitely growing. And what I think is beautiful, what we're seeing in this realm, is that we have folks that may not be traditional tech folks, but that are moving into realms of angel investors and venture capitalists to usher in and support Black men and women into technology. So the roles are shifting, we're growing, but one thing I can say is that we're all working together, and that's beautiful.
So on that note, one thing that I think we can accent is the fact that we need each other.
We do.
So if I recall correctly, our common link is Mark Clark.
Yes. Hi, Mark. And Crystal Berger.
Crystal Berger. So Mark's media, I'm media, Crystal Burgers, what, PR?
PR and media, and also a new tech founder.
And a new tech founder. So I had to share this with you. You mentioned Reginald Lewis, and anybody from Baltimore who is black, white, or otherwise should know about this man who led the corporate takeover of TLC Beatrice. But Ohio is home to another one of my personal heroes.
Who is that?
Did you know that there was a black auto manufacturer that was founded in Greenfield, Ohio?
No, this is Greenfield. Where is that?
Greenfield, Ohio.
I need to look that up. That's amazing.
Well, let me just tell you, his name was Charles Richard Patterson.
Wow.
He was a black carriage manufacturer, and between C.R. Patterson and his sons, they were the first black company to build an automobile, and they were in business from 1893 to 1939. Formerly J.P. Lowe and Company, then it was C.R. Patterson, Son and Company. And again, they started off with carriages, but then they moved into automobiles. And Charles Patterson partnered with a local carriage builder, J.P. Lowe, a white man, and they created J.P. Lowe and Company in 1873. They employed 10 people, was considered successful for its time. The U.S. was experiencing the panic of 1893, a financial crisis, and business was suffering as a result. In 1893, the company was renamed C.R. Patterson and Son. By 1900, the company was producing 28 different horse-drawn carriages, and then the son got involved, and the first cars were sold for $685. And that was 1915. So on September 23rd, 1915, the first C.R. Patterson and Sons automobile was assembled, a two-door coupe. So there is something for you, for the state of Ohio, home of the Ohio State University. You knew I was going to get that in there. And something for technology. Okay,
that's amazing.
It is amazing. And for Baltimore, I need you to pull in the institution where we first met, which is the Greater Baltimore Urban League.
Yes.
How did that play a role in your evolution?
Oh, it was pivotal. When I moved here, again, I was a regional account manager, but imagine I was the only employee in the state. So I had a multi-state territory, and with the work that I was doing, I was the youngest and the only Black woman. So I had a friend from Ohio State. He said, I got somebody that you can meet. And Matt at the time introduced me to the young professionals. And that was my community because I didn't have one. But when I walked in there, you learn to sit up straight, walk tall, walk proud, because it was a euphoric and a historic time of young people that were doing big things, movers and shakers, and they just made you want to do better, made you want to do amazing things, and made you want to take action. And I believe that that foundation helped to build my confidence in knowing that I could contribute into a city that I've absolutely grown to love and admire, and say, let's make it better. And by the way, let's have fun and grow with one another while we do it.
The young professionals, you know, when I think of, I met Willie Flowers there.
Wow.
That started off a little bit of a confrontation, you know, two big egos in the same room. But look how Willie has evolved. He's evolved a long way. He's now the chair of the Maryland State NAACP, the state chapter, and he's involved in Park Heights Renaissance and community events all over. He even had his experiences with the Baltimore City Police Department, which sparked a little activism in his
Wow.
soul. But a lot of people have come through the doors of the Urban League.
Yes.
And big ups to the broader leader, J. Howard Henderson.
Yes, absolutely. He was the pillar, that example, and I would be honored when I would go to committee meetings and just get to see and meet him and just listen. And I think I knew that the time frame that I was in was something special because I just wanted to capture it and soak it all in. And what I think that did was adding pillars of strength over time because I didn't know that I was going to lean into a purpose that was going to impact the world. But those seeds that were planted there helped me so that I could be bold, so that I could speak truth to power. When there were organizations that tried to copy the stuff that I did, walk up in there and say, wait a minute, do you know I'm a Black woman trying to make some change? It was because of that I attribute some of those things to.
Did you run into battles where you needed a lawyer? Did you run into people attempting to steal your intellectual capital?
Yes, yes. So, little known fact, I am the woman that actually brought Maryland's first fashion tech show to Maryland with a focus on entrepreneurs. And at the time, I was referred by another local entrepreneur to an event company. And I don't know if you recall Light City. Light City was the festival. Yes, it was brought in by entrepreneurs. By the way, I mean, those entrepreneurs had a legal battle with the city. So I'm not going to touch that. Tell everybody to go Google it.
They got money around Freddie Gray.
Yes. And so Light City was at the time, it was an entrepreneurial effort. And then the city at the time wanted to take it over. But I was actually backed by the Brown Advisory Company to produce this fashion tech show. And so I did. And it was phenomenal. We have some recording of it, even brought in the youth again. And the folks that were there were like, this is amazing. Well, fast forward 2 years, there's a state-funded organization. That's all I'll say for right now. They could read about it in my book, Rejection to Reward. There was a state-funded organization 2 years later that said that they were producing Maryland's first fashion tech show, and they were funded by the state. And I had to walk into the Department of Commerce, and me and the Department of Commerce, we're good now. But back then I had to walk in there, met 3 individuals, and literally said, when I walked in, how dare you? All you had to do was Google. And if you Google wearable tech or fashion tech, my name comes up first. And to add insult to injury, you didn't even consult me about how to do this properly.
Good for you.
Hotep.
How many times did our ancestors in this country get robbed of their intellectual capital? How many inventions that our ancestors in this country came up with that were stolen?
Yes.
People are driving Porsches and Maseratis and have multi-generational wealth on the intellectual capacity, intellectual capital of our ancestors. And how many sisters did not get the opportunity to stand up and confront the people who were stealing from them?
Stealing. And
That's
right here got the
I can also say that. That's what I can say.
Well, being in Baltimore, we got the prime example with the Henrietta Lacks story and with her family. And recently her last living child just died, but that was after they got one settlement from one company out of many. One company.
They had to go all the way to get Ben Crump. They met him in Texas. Ron Lacks, the grandson. We've had him on this show a few times.
Yes. And so one of the things that I vowed being in this role was that bringing our people into entrepreneurship through tech I wanted to make sure that they owned their stuff. And so what we have done is, I can't say necessarily partnered, but we work very closely with the USPTO, United States Patent and Trademark Office. And most recently, I was featured on their We Wednesday series with Kathy Vidal, who is the director of USPTO. And they choose, this is a highly selective series where they highlight female entrepreneurs around the country. And so I went to Delaware and worked with her, and she's excited. The USPTO office has been involved with us with our youth program, and they've been providing resources so that we can make sure our folks, number one, understand the process, but know that there are resources available so that they can document their ideas, work on provisional patents, and ultimately go to the patent stage. And so what we're doing in our ecosystem, not only are we producing 100 companies that are going to produce this wearable technology that's going to impact how we live every day, but it's also changing the landscape from a wealth perspective with how we introduce our investors into that process, and also making sure that history is noted, that we have supported and introduced these innovators to the world through the patent process. Just this past summer, we had 2 youth that were invited into that patent process because they worked in our hackathon and our summer camp, and Under Armour and the National Institutes of Health saw these students and said they've got talent, and we're providing some resources to help them bring their provisions to life. And they've started and have been introduced to the provisional patent process. So if we could do it with a middle schooler and with a high schooler, we can do it with our cousin and with our auntie and with everybody else that's around us by introducing them to that process, to make sure that we are properly recognized and properly rewarded if we decide to license that technology in the future.
So take me back. Rob posed the question. Tell them what is, and do we need to show them a picture? Wearable Tech Ventures. We're a global ecosystem dedicated to the development and promotion of wearables. Take them back to the beginning. What is Wearable Tech Ventures?
Yes. Okay. So Wearable Tech Ventures, and I'll also talk about what Wearable Tech is, if that helps as well. But Wearable Tech Ventures is a global entity known as an ecosystem where we are supporting 100 startups in our particular space to bring innovations to life. These innovations cover everything from med tech. So that could be devices that our community could use from the standpoint of Alzheimer's and dementia, from heart disease to diabetes, to brain tumors, etc. Right? In medtech, even femtech, right? So that's all under that umbrella. Also from a sports tech perspective. So imagine our NFL, our NBA players using technology to assist them in their journey. Fashion tech. Historically, there's been a number of things that were gimmicky that you might have seen on many major red carpets, but we're transforming how that is done. And I'll give some examples if you remind me about fashion tech as well. And then even the metaverse and virtual reality, that is also in the category of wearable technology. So we are that global center that connects those with ideas, innovations, those with already businesses, and we connect them to investors, to resources, to companies, so that they can grow and thrive. Now, you may be saying, what is wearable tech? I have an example on. A lot of people tend to think, oh, is it just a smartwatch? I have on a ring right here that is made from one of our Black founders out of Toronto that was developed to unlock doors, as well as it can help to communicate like your business card. You can transfer it there. But many people think historically that it's just a sensor or something that you wear on your body that communicates something via the internet. And often what we say in technology, IoT, Internet of Things, it's in that category. But wearable technology is evolving from that traditional standpoint of a sensor that you wear on your body to another method that you can communicate via the internet, where it doesn't necessarily have to be on your body. Case in point, I developed a digital garment that was worn on social media, and I put it on my line sisters for our 20th anniversary of AKA. And we became the
I'm
largest
sorry, which sorority is that?
Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, the first and the finest. But we wore a digital garment that I created. And a lot of people, when they saw the picture, they thought it was an actual garment, and it was not. It was a digital garment. And what we're finding, and one of the things we've developed, is you can develop a digital garment that actually integrates with crypto as well as some other things. Like, you know, a lot of people saw NFTs. That's something that you could use on social media. So in the future, when you see people taking pictures on social media, or they might be a fashion influencer, you might be saying, oh, they have on real clothing. No, with the integration of technology, that is a new form of wearable technology that is coming from the gaming world into social media that's going to totally change the game. So I'm here to usher and to help evolve that definition of what wearable technology is. And just from an economic standpoint, today it's a $60 billion industry, and it's on track to triple within the next 10 years based on the innovations that are coming to market. And what I'm saying is, when we look at the historic disparities in tech, typically Black people, you know, when we look at the workforce, less than 10%, maybe even less than 5% in traditional tech workforces or whatnot. But with what we're doing, we are set to own a segment of tech where they know the influence and the thought leadership is coming from a Black woman that is leading a group of underrepresented founders, Black, brown, female, differently abled, etc., and saying, we're putting our stamp here, we own this segment. This is historic. And I'm a unicorn because often when we see a woman of color leading an organization, either it could be for, and this is not a diss, I'm just providing insight, it could be that they are leading it for one particular agenda or one particular race group or a segment of a race group. I'm the only Black woman that we know of in the world that is leading a tech organization that is not just for women, that is not just for Black people, that is saying, you are going to hear from all of us underrepresented, and we are going to produce and introduce products that everybody can use and that businesses need.
We're very proud of you.
Thank you.
We're very proud of you. Tell me, you're a chip off the old block. Who is the old block? Is it grandma? Is it mom? Is it grandpop? Is it an auntie? Where'd this fire come from?
Believe it or not, my gentle giant, my grandfather, and I love my grandmother. I always attribute every success to my grandparents. May they rest in peace. But when you see me, you see the seeds that they planted, as well as all of my family members. I'm a representation of the best of each and every one of my family members. Now, we come from all walks of life now, but my grandfather, little old country boy from Oklahoma, moved to Akron, Ohio, when he never even finished high school. But he was the most successful man that I knew, owned real estate. Actually, the properties now, a lot of people hear about the LeBron James homes and things that he built. That my grandfather used to own that property. So he was my best friend, my North Star. And I attribute every success to everything that he taught me. And as a matter of fact, I never even went to preschool. I was babysat by my grandfather. So he taught me how to count by playing dominoes, and taught me many stories. So I believe that having that down to earth, that practicality, definitely has aided in my journey. So when you see me, you see them.
How challenging is it to get little Black girls involved in technology from your perspective?
Yeah, I get called on a lot because I should say in the past, a lot of STEM activities didn't necessarily interest girls, or in certain cases weren't feminized, or didn't offer perspectives that they were interested in. And so I get called on a lot to talk about fashion tech, and to introduce some other gaming perspectives to our girls. And one of the things I would like to share is that, yes, there are a number of organizations that are doing amazing things, and they also highlight girls and they give them projects. The difference with us is that we are able to apply those projects to a real product that goes to the marketplace. And so one of our young girls this year, she was given a challenge that was sponsored by the Maryland Department of Ag, where we were looking at a problem where she could apply fashion tech to it, and she actually won. And so I think by providing that space where girls can feel like they can be themselves and apply their experience to a problem, I think that that's been incredibly helpful. And I think it's going to be one of the pathways that helps to usher more girls and women into tech as problem solvers.
You know, Lauryn Hill wrote on her album, in her travels all over the world, she's come to learn that what differentiates one child from another is not ability, but access. Access to education, access to opportunity, access to love. When Hidden Figures came out, was that a fireball moment, a bit of inspiration, a push forth for Black women in tech?
Absolutely. Just Black women in STEM, period. There are so many amazing women that go through school, you know, for their masters and PhDs in computer science and chemistry and biology, etc. And so it was a moment where they were like, we are seen. Little known fact, I was actually honored alongside a poster of Katherine Johnson, who's also my soror, at the Kid Museum in Bethesda, Maryland. And so they highlighted me earlier this year during Women's Month as a woman that is changing the game in STEM. And so that was an incredible honor for me, understanding that I was so inspired by that movie. And they put a life-size poster of me right next to her. Oops.
So we have to get some life-size posters of little Black girls.
Yes.
In technology.
Absolutely.
So as we've discussed in the pre-interview, you know that Bea, Black Engineer of the Year Awards, is coming back. This show is actually featured in STEM City, USA, with Dr. Tyrone Taborn. Any thoughts on, well, have you met Dr. Taborn or his wife, Jean Hamilton?
I have not, but I look forward to that opportunity. I have attended 2 Bea Awards, and actually one of my sponsors and advisors, David Canada, was featured with one of the Bea Awards. And so we're excited about it coming to Baltimore. We're going to be there representing and assisting in any way that we can to help amplify.
Is this Mr. Canada from New York City?
He's actually from Baltimore.
From Baltimore? What's he do?
He is a senior director manager at the Boeing company.
At Boeing?
Yes.
Well, this candidate that I know of in New York is more in community development. But nonetheless, we have to make sure you get connected to Career Communications Group. Last night you met Edwin Avent.
Yes.
He was a part of the early days of this company, and there are more tech people, there are more Black people in tech than we may realize. And that's why we have this show, so that we can highlight some of the accomplishments and contributions that we have made and continue to make. How can people, let's get back to your company. Paint this picture, paint a little more of Wearable Tech Ventures, and what do you need?
Oh, wow. The need list is strong, but I would say I need people to just try it. Just try the activities, try to engage. I shouldn't say try to engage. I need you to engage. We hosted our 2nd annual hackathon this past year, and that hackathon was open to the public. And a hackathon is basically an innovation tournament where you're presented with a challenge, you come together and create solutions. But then we also had a tech skills building workshop. All of that was free. We had people from Fitbit, Under Armour, Deloitte, all these folks there waiting for us to show up. We even partnered with the Maryland Library System and said, hey, folks, We need you to come. If nothing else, at least learn one new tech skill, but you'll also be engaged with the challenge where you might be discovered, and you don't have to come from a tech background to participate. And
where was it?
It was actually based in Baltimore and at UMBC, but it was global. So it was on site as well as virtual. And so when I do these things, when we do these things, I need people to show up, because I'm out here waving the flag, talking to these corporations saying, hey, we got people with ideas, because I know we do. We are the original innovators. We're in the 50th year of hip hop. We know who we are, right? But I need us to come to the table when we set the table and provide you a seat. I need you to sit down and work with us. Well, so again, next year, when we bring it back, I need you guys there.
Well, media, you know, it takes me back to the 60s, the 70s, where we didn't have the internet, we didn't have cell phones, but we were well connected.
Yes.
And so we just have to reconnect on now we're on this tech level. We have to reconnect all of those things, the grassroots, the email, the TikTok, the church.
Yes.
The church.
Yes.
The NAACP, the Urban League, those things that used to work. We need to get back to basics.
Yes. And what I have found, we're on the same page there. What I have found is that many folks, they get caught up when I say wearable tech or tech, and many people say, I'm not in tech. And I say, if you have a phone, you're in tech.
That's like when people tell me, okay, I don't vote, or I'm not into politics. Everything you do is political. And like you said, this is tech.
And by the way, wearable technology is going to replace that phone. So what we see right now is going to be like the old time, you know, like those phones that used to have the rotary, you know, that's what our phones are going to be like, because wearable technology is going to take over that we communicate. I told you we leading things. Come on, y'all, come to the table, come work with us, and you could donate.
Let me ask you this. Give me a surprise partner. And you know, let me back up. I don't want to miss this.
Okay.
Wearable tech, as you have mentioned this, a word comes to mind, Afrofuturism.
Yes, Black Panther. Black Panther was full of wearable tech.
Like, give us an example. Paint more of this picture for me.
Okay, so from the movie in particular, or from an everyday device?
From the movie.
From the movie. So when you look at
or everyday, it doesn't matter.
Okay, well, I'll start with Black Panther and then bring it forward. So Black Panther, that was a moment for all of us where we just felt so proud, right? We saw ourselves.
The clothes.
The clothes, yes. So I'm getting there. So when you think about the suit and the different actions that the suit could produce, right, from shooting and bringing out blades and stuff like that, that actually did something. And then also, I'm not even gonna get the terminology right this morning, but how it's not the right word, but in the normal version, his version of kryptonite, right? That power that came from that suit so that he could move and do things, that was wearable technology. Actually, we have one of our advisors that helped to develop the Iron Man suit, which is also a form of wearable technology, as one of our internal advisors. I'm telling you, we're powerful out here. Now, from a daily standpoint, we have seen wearable technology introduced outside of normal traditional means, such as, you know, your smartwatch, your rings or whatever. Patients with diabetes, oftentimes you might see somebody with a patch on them that is monitoring their glucose levels. That's wearable technology.
So they don't have to prick themselves 3-4 times a day.
Exactly. That's an example of wearable technology in the med tech space. Going back to historic times, I remember growing up, my great grandmother, she had that little life alert necklace, and she would wear.
Fallen.
Yes,
not
that was
grandma.
technology.
Remember
that was wearable technology.
Fallen. Get up.
I'll even fast forward. LeBron just posted a advertisement for his new shoe on social media, and the shoe, although I think it was more so from a promotional standpoint, but the way that the shoe transformed and lifted up, that was also wearable technology.
Wow. Sports, we've talked about medicine,
Fashion,
fashion.
gaming, metaverse.
What about this aero technology, space travel, NASA? Can you touch that?
Yeah. That's actually where a lot of things originated from NASA. There's a lot of funding and a lot of opportunity. We actually have a Black startup that we're working with. She developed a spacesuit, and so we're finding some ways to support her. But yeah, space is an originator for a lot of the needs and RFPs that are coming out to develop new products for the future.
So how can people get in touch with you? And I put my little plug there. We're in the technology too. If you want to buy me a coffee and I'll buy Lakisha one, we've just come up with a new funding stream. Buy me a coffee, a couple of bucks.
I love it. I love it. And when we go get that coffee, we're going to go to a Black owned shop too.
And let me tell you, I got this idea from a Black woman in the UK.
I love it. I'm familiar with it, and it's awesome. So folks, you can reach me if you're on social media. We're on Instagram. You can find us at Wearable Tech Ventures. You can also find me by my other business name, Lucky Fit. But if you go to Wearable Tech Ventures, you'll see us there. If you're on LinkedIn, I invite you to connect with me. I provide a lot of updates there. We also have a page there for Wearable Tech Ventures. And then if you just want to go to the website and sign up for updates, you can go to LakishaGreenwade.com and also go to wearabletechventures.org. And if you have an idea, or if you're currently a founder or an investor, make sure you register so that we know who you are.
Is there any event coming up?
We just completed our public programming this past summer, but I invite you to go to our website to register so that you can be notified about what we're doing for next year. Numbers do matter, especially as I am talking to these corporations. They want to see us. And again, we're opening this up so that it is not just for college students. People say, oh, nobody ever thought about me, or they may have thought, oh, I don't have a pathway. You have a pathway through us. So make sure you register. But the other thing that we're doing privately is through December, we are working with the National Institutes of Health with a cadre of founders that we're coaching and preparing them with additional research for their innovation and to help them with some investment for that.
Now, what also comes to mind is, oh, Donnie, don't lose it. I can't believe I was about to drop this ball.
Uh-oh.
Last night was HBCU night.
Yes.
Where are we with Coppin, Morgan, University of Maryland, Eastern Shore, Bowie, Howard University, Lincoln University? Lord, let's not forget Lincoln and Cheney. If those cats that went to Lincoln and Cheney don't leave me alone, including Bob Ingram, Morehouse, Spelman, so on and so forth. Where are we with our historically Black colleges and universities?
Great question. So from the standpoint of particularly Wearable Tech Ventures, we have extended invitations to HBCUs in this area. And we said, we want to make you our home for wearable technology. And so I believe that as most of these universities are finding their identity and building their entrepreneurship centers, they are in a space where they're exploring and learning what wearable tech is. But we have extended those invitations, and we're just waiting on one of those HBCUs to accept that invitation. Outside of that, I work as an advisor on a national board for STEM and innovation. And so I work with HBCUs across the country and assist them with developing ideations to bring to the marketplace. But we do have a home that is not at HBCU, that is here as well as at Ohio State. But again, we are just waiting on those HBCUs to accept our invitation to be one of our official homes of wearable tech for our students.
Well, I know for certain that I can connect you with Coppin's New School of Business under the guise and leadership of Dr. Sadie Gregory. I'm sure over at Morgan State University, we can connect you. Dr. Taborn from STEM City USA is very connected to the School of Engineering, but there's also Omar Muhammad
Yes.
with the Entrepreneurial Development and Assistance Center, as well as other, you know, you were, one of the things you were saying is in our pre-interview was how Baltimore and the tech space and the incubators. Can you go back to that comment
Yes.
if you recall?
Yes, so it's great that we have seen Baltimore transform into this equitech city where there's infrastructure set up for those that have some traction to become what they call a tech star. But before all of that infrastructure was here, that was based on entrepreneurs, I was here waving the flag and saying, I'm going to build something, and talk to many banks, different organizations. They didn't understand me, didn't understand my impact, and did not provide any funding. So we need to change that narrative to where Lakisha put out all this money and got some corporate backers. And what I would love for us to say is that Baltimore started investing as well in this initiative that is one of the leading segments of tech that is going to change the way that we view and we participate in the wealth transfer.
You know, there's some, I mean, Shalonda Stokes, her name comes to mind, a graduate of Baltimore Polytechnic Institute, involved with Morgan State University engineering, electrical engineering major. We have to make sure that we, you know, Sharon Pender and her involvement in business. We have the first Black governor. We have a
Yes.
Black mayor. We have a Black city council president, Black treasurer. It's time, I think, that we further connect what you're doing with Wearable Tech Ventures with,
Thank you.
with the people who are now in position.
Yes. Yes. And we have had support from our city council president. Thank you so much, Nick Mosby. He's been a supporter since day one.
Who ought to be making more, who ought to be helping more, using their platforms. Because let's face it, you can only be governor for 8 years. You can only be mayor for 8 years. So why not, while in that space? And then some other names come to mind, including Diane Bell McCoy, my adopted mom, making sure that people like her and Adar Yira and her sister Dina Bell Nance, making sure that some of the powerful women in the community and powerful men. I mean, we have some work to do.
We do. And I appreciate your advocacy. And we have always been open to partnership, and we're going to remain that way. And even while we've been waiting, we've been planting seeds with mentoring and coaching all of the startups that are coming out of Baltimore that you see in the major media. We have been there continuously contributing. And so, yes, we're in a point now where we're saying, help us grow, because we have another amazing story to put Baltimore on the map that will help to diversify tech forever.
I'm going to make a proposal to you right here on the air.
Okay. I'm ready. I put people on the spot too.
I think you should be on the air every week.
I agree. Thank you.
What if we gave you a show? Can you help us fill an hour of time, maybe once a week, especially with, I really want to see the hidden figures of tomorrow. I want to see some little girl techies. I want to see and all of this. This is what I want in the end. And I can give you 5 years of this free platform. Wow. I want somebody to make me one of those Wakanda outfits.
We can make that happen.
But it's Baltimore, and I got a special request. I needed to be bulletproof.
We can do that, because we've got some other maker sites that are set up that we're working with too. We can make it for you.
It doesn't have to be bulletproof. I just figured I'd throw that in. This is Baltimore. I mean, you know.
We can definitely do that. And I'm going to try my best not to cry. My advisors know that I'm so passionate. And anytime, I don't take any investment lightly.
Well,
So
we don't want you to cry. We want you to be happy.
well, I'm saying that because thank you for seeing me. Thank you for seeing our work. We actually had one of our founders from Brazil come in this past year. So I would be honored to work with you once a week and produce this show. I would be absolutely honored. Thank
I
you.
can't believe more people don't know
There's
about
plenty of
what you're
articles.
doing. But you
There's
know,
plenty
mhm. Has Mark had you on his show? I'm curious.
Not yet. We just met in person for the first
Oh,
time.
last night?
Yes.
Well, he's a phenomenal. Mark Clark.
Yes.
We've known him for many years, and he doesn't change. He's quite an entrepreneur himself. We were just talking last night about how he went up and down the road from DC, Montgomery County, to Queens, to Brooklyn, every week to do
Wow.
his radio show when there weren't opportunities here. I think of Jet Miller, a young woman who's in the hair and beauty. And she used to go to New York every week. I'm talking about people who put in time. We've been doing this show. You know, we're doing it day after day after day. And lo and behold, one day out of nowhere, your blessing comes. The doors open up. And what you
That's why
thought,
you gotta be ready.
yeah. Like Eminem says, sometimes you get one shot, one time to shine. And if you stay ready, you won't have to get ready.
I'm incredibly honored, and I told you this yesterday. When I came to Baltimore, you were that icon that would walk into the room and be like, Donnie Glover, Donnie Glover. So to be able to have this
God be the
opportunity,
glory.
yes, to be able to have this opportunity, one, to engage with you and to be on your show, I don't take it lightly. And for you to extend that opportunity publicly, again, I don't take it lightly. I accept, and I'm happy to assist. And at the end of the day, we all go up together. That's what we want. We just want to
See,
go up together.
I'm born and raised in Baltimore, a couple of years in Atlanta and Morehouse. Like many aspects of the Black community, some of us are just stingy. But my mama loved me, and my daddy loved me. And when you get that unconditional love nurtured into you, you have no problem sharing.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
So, and real recognizes real.
Definitely.
So if you've been out here for all this time and now the paths have crossed again, then but you didn't stop. You kept going anyway.
Keep going. That's what I tell people. Keep going.
Did you mention a book?
Yes, I actually have a few books, but one that I highly recommend to folks is the book I call Rejection to Reward. And that's about overcoming rejection. I faced it not only in my corporate sector, but also in this realm of being a tech innovator. Rejection every step of the way. And I always tell folks that in this journey of being an innovator, if you're developing a tech product or whatever, you're going to face rejection, but you can't give up. And so I provide tips and strategies for those that are facing resistance so that they can overcome it. I also have a book that might be better for the youth as well as those emerging leaders, 40 Days to Unshakable Self-Confidence. And it's basically just a journal that has a story for every day to help you grow in your confidence. And then I have a third book, The Audacity to Ask. And that will soon be available on public platforms this fall.
Tell me about that. You done piqued my interest. I need some more coffee now. Come on.
I love it.
Come
The
on.
Audacity. It was inspired by Jeff Bezos during the pandemic when he had the audacity to ask the public to donate to help his employees. And I said, aren't you the wealthiest man or one of the wealthiest men in the world? And you're asking us for money? And I said, you know what? If he has the audacity to ask, we need to have the audacity to ask for whatever it is that we want. And oftentimes, especially women, coming from a business perspective, there's a lot of negotiation courses to help women ask for what they want. But I think one of the things is we got to be clear, and we have to know that we are worth what it is that we want to receive.
If Jeff Bezos And they always say rich people use other people's money anyway. But that part right there, you have not because you ask not.
Exactly. Exactly.
Seek and ye shall find. Knock. They say the good Lord can open up doors that no
Yes.
man can close. Does
Absolutely.
faith play a role in your life at all?
I've come this far by faith. My entire journey has been faith. I liken it to, if for those that are familiar with the Bible, there's a story where Jesus has, he gathers the 2 fish and the 5 loaves, and he presents it to the Lord, and he says, bless this, and he feeds a multitude of thousands. Well, that's what I've done. It may not have been 2 real fish and 5 loaves of bread, but me working jobs and saying, God, I need you to bless this because you gave me this vision of these people that I'm supposed to impact. And it's bigger than me. But my little bit, when I look at it, it ain't going to work. But look at where he brought me now. And so I started from my ideation in 2015, produced the first event in 2016, met my first sponsor when I was supporting another entrepreneur at one of her dinners. And I was broke. And at the time, I referred myself to a broke founder. I don't do that anymore because words have power. And every little bit that I had, God has been able to multiply it. And so one of the things I'm known for saying in one of my quotes is every small step matters. Being consistent and still going. Even when you don't think you have it, you still go.
Lady, when I started Be More News, let me tell you, they look at me some people looked at me cockeyed. 21 years, baby, we still here. Award winning. We've touched over 190 countries. Even when Google tried to switch up, even with Facebook snatched our page with 200,000 followers, we're still here. You can't stop this. It was never yours to stop.
Say it.
Some of these people think they can control your destiny.
They think.
With a mouse.
They think, but when you are, and you and me, when we know we have a purpose, and when we know we didn't come up with this on our own, but it's something that we can't shake, no matter hell, high water, whatever it is, we're going to keep going. We're okay. We're going to be protected. And even when you look at the biblical stories and whatnot, even those that made it and were successful, they had a lot of trials and tribulations. They were running for their life.
They went through worse.
Way worse.
Harriet Tubman. Can you imagine Harriet Tubman running through the woods trying to I know they there. Trying to
I think about that all the time. Like our ancestors were so amazing, having limited clothing, having to deal with all those torrentials and just navigation on their own. So they are the bomb.
So somebody got to come up with a wearable venture, wearable technologies, a blouse or something, and call it the Harriet.
The Harriet. We can work on that together. In addition to making sure we highlighting our young woman, we can do that project together.
And Be More News needs a Wakanda Afrofuturism bulletproof top for me.
We can work on that. We'll put it as one of the challenges in our next hackathon.
As a matter of fact, we need to pull in Raheem Devon because he got a song called Bulletproof.
Come on, Raheem.
Yeah.
Come on.
Any final thoughts before we get up out of here? Yes, Rob Morton. You miss 100% of the shots you never take.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna give you the screen. And as a matter of fact, is it okay that you close out, show off? I'm gonna give you the full screen. And yeah. We are proud of you. You make our women proud, our daughters proud. You make us as men proud.
Thank you.
You make those of us who do come to those spaces, who live in these spaces, proud.
Thank you.
I understand. It might seem lonely.
Yes.
But if God sent you to it, he will send you through it. We are proud of you.
Absolutely. Thank
you. We're so proud of you. Don't you dare stop. You get the final.
Thank you. And to everyone that is tuned into the show, first of all, I ask that you share this episode because there are so many people that could be impacted with a promise that they didn't even know that they could hold on to. And what I also want to share with you is that you belong. Oftentimes, when we're reading these articles or hearing these other success stories, we may think that it is so far away from us and that we have no access. I'm here to tell you, you belong, and the access is here. All you have to do is receive it. And so I've given you tools and ways that you can connect with us. If you want to keep it simple, just go to wearabletechventures.org, register for the newsletter, register your interest in participating with us next year. But at the end of the day, you belong. Whether you have been someone that did not go to school, whether you've been someone that went to school, maybe you've been working, maybe you don't even consider yourself a techie. You might be a creative person, or you come up with a lot of ideas. You just want to know how you can connect to somebody to make that happen. We're here. We are here for you. So I hope that you receive this show and the invitation to connect with us and stay connected, because we're here. And thank you so much to Doni Glover for this opportunity.